Hi everyone, thanks for joining me for the next installment of Creative Aiding. This one is going to be a three-part series called Not Your Mama's Macrame. We're doing macrame because the APR book this year, so APR stands for All Pueblo Reads. Our books this year is The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien, and it is a book about the remembrances of folks from the Vietnam War. And while it's harder to do crafts that represent the Vietnam War and that type of kind of really heavy and somber and very inspirational and interesting book of memories, what we are going to be doing this month of October for the library district in general is we're going to be doing, those of us who do crafts anyway, are going to be doing crafts that are kind of inspired by the Vietnam era. So this time we are going to be doing macrame, and like I said, this is a three-part series because the project is kind of big and it's a bit difficult. So you'll get one kit for the entire month. So even if you're registered for the other two classes, I don't know if there will be another kit. And I say that with a caveat because as I was making an example for this class, I realized that I thought the fringe would look better if we had more thread in it. So there may be another call from the library coming anyone who's registed's way to get some more cord to make your fringe be a bit more oomphy. So I call this Not Your Mama's Macrame because I think either those who are my age have grown up seeing the macrame planters in their mom's or their grandma's houses, or those of you attending who might be the generation above mine have made them. And we all know the big thick macrame with the beads, then the owls and the plant hangers, and while those are actually very beautiful and I have a great deal of fondness for them, macrame has taken a bit of a turn, I think, recently to be a really almost minimalist kind of beautiful art. And so I'll show you the one that I have been working on as an example for this class so that I can, really learn how to do it well. And here it is. So this is the pattern I think that we're going to be doing here. And as you can tell, it's really super minimalist, but I think it's beautiful. Now you'll notice, like I was saying, the fringe here is a little bit bare, so I think I'm gonna send you guys some more cord to fringe when we get to that, which will be the third week in the series. But if you'll notice, it's not like a dream catcher. I'm not super excited about doing dream catchers as art because I am not Native American, so I don't feel like I should be teaching any of their art forms, but it is a really pretty wall hanging, and it is like that really clean line minimalist thing that people like my sister really enjoy. For those of you who know me at all, you know I am the least minimalist person there is in the world. I'm basically a maximalist human being. I love patterns and prints and colors and all that stuff, but for this particular program, I'll try to channel my inner minimalist. All right, let's get started here. So in your kits, you guys have a hoop, a metal hoop, and you'll have 10 lengths of 6 foot long, or roughly 6 foot long cord. And your hoops, one of you, if you're doing this in a group, maybe one of you has a slightly bigger one, maybe one of you has a slightly smaller one. The reason for that is simply because there were not 30 of one size and I went to 2 separate stores. So you're just kind of, some of you got big ones and some of you got little ones. And then there's 3 separate colors of thread, and it's just sort of a grab bag. So to get started, take the tag off of your hoop like I just did right there. And you're gonna want to separate out your cord. I tried to keep them kind of knotted up and pretty for you, but there's no guarantee that that stayed that way. And we're gonna pull one of them out of here. And what I'm gonna do, if you'll notice, I've popped my camera up a bit higher so that you can see this, because you wouldn't have been able to see the entire project if I had it down where I normally do. And we're going to match those 2 bottom ends up together, and then make it so that it's folded over on itself. And what we're gonna be doing in this beginning video is tying a knot that in macrame is called a lark's head knot. But when I was younger, I just learned it as an overhead knot. So you might know it one way or the other. But, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that loop, we're gonna put it on one side of the hoop, spread it wide, and then just pull those two strings through the loop. And this is gonna be our setup situation. And the only thing that you really need to be careful of when you're doing this is make sure you pull it pretty tight, because you don't want it getting loose on you. This cotton cord is actually really good for cinching tight, but if you screw up, it's a pain in the butt to get the knot undone. So learn from my mistakes and really pull that thing nice and tight. But this is the thing you need to be careful about, and why it's actually really kind of better to do this on a flat, clean surface so that you can watch, is this bump part, if you can see right where my hand is, and I'll bring this up a little bit closer to the camera so maybe you can see that better. There we go, the little bumpy part right there, that loop. All of your bumps need to be on the same side. You can't have them mixed up, because I don't think it's gonna cause any problems ultimately with the making of your craft, but it's gonna not be as aesthetically appealing. So then all we're gonna need to continue to do is do all the other strands. So we'll match up our corners, make that loop at the end, and it also helps to make sure that your stuff's just not tangled up. And I like to do it this way because I know I'm putting the loop under the hoop. I know that that little lumpy part's gonna be on the right side. I'm a knitter, I keep wanting to call it a pearl lump, because kind of it is. But that's not what it's called in macrame. So we'll use the right terms for the right craft. And as we keep going here, so I don't remember if it was my mom or my grandma. Things blend together, but I was pretty little. They had one of these macrame planters, and I remember kind of playing either in it or around it. I was definitely a kid who would have played in dirt. So planters are full of that and liked poking things. But what I remember the most about it randomly is how it smelled. And I think it's because those macrame planters back in the day, I've got tape on me, they were made out of that jute rope, and it's pretty rough and scratchy, and I also remember that being a thing. But I think that jute rope definitely has a bit of a smell to it. And that's what I remember, was the smell of the planter, which is distinct from the smell of whomever's house I was in. I want to say it was my mom's, but again, you know, I was like 4, and spaces and faces are confusing when you're that young. But anyway, that was my basically only experience with macrame as a kid. It wasn't a craft that my mom did a whole lot of. She just happened to, you know, have some. I don't even know if she did do it. I'll have to ask her. Mom, if you're watching this video, let me know. But I know that lots and lots of folks have been telling at the library, some of my coworkers, some of the people who've just come in to use the computer, telling them that I've been doing macrame because they've been seeing me cut the strings at the desk when I'm out there. And I did macrame in the 70s. So that's why we're doing this. It's because I think it's just a really cool way to pay homage to that favorite craft of a decade where, unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, I wasn't even born yet. But showing how it can be kind of revamped and redone for now. There's so many things that are coming back. If any of you guys are signed up for my Family Makes program, that's going to be this weekend. We're doing Shrinky Dinks, and I remember doing Shrinky Dinks as a kid in the 80s. And they're back with a vengeance and a half, and so we're going to be making hippie Shrinky Dink keychains. If you guys are not registered for that particular class, I've still got room. It's at pueblolibrary.org. You'll go to the calendar of events, on the left-hand side, and click on the month and then click on the day, so that I believe is October 10th is Saturday, and register, and I'll send you guys out with a kit that has a keychain and shrinky dink plastic and maybe some cool beads and stuff, so that you guys can make your own flower power hippie keychain, maybe magnets. They'll be cool. It's really fun to do a shrinky dink. And you get to see me use a heat gun, although you can do them in your oven. All right, so I have mine all tied. All 10 of them are tied now, and they're all with the bumps going the right direction. The bumps, they don't need to be super even, but this is something that if you really want them to be, now is the time to tighten them up, because once we start making knots next week in this, it will not be tight. Sorry, I misspoke. You'll be stuck with the way that they are. You won't be able to change them after we start knotting it. But that's next week's program, which I believe I call Knots, Knots, and More Knots. I'll show you the one that I just showed you, but I think maybe I'll do another one too, so that you guys can take your pick, whether you want the little triangular square knot one or whether you want one that's more woven. But all right, so that's today's portion of the project. And as always, tune in next week and you'll know the next thing that we're gonna be doing. And I think that's pretty much it for today. So until I get to see you guys all again in person, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep making. Have a great day, guys.